This episode of the podcast is brought to you by our partner, Audible.
Yes, it is. So we are partnered with Audible. That means that if you are looking just to check it out, you don't want to put your card in and just take the dive. You can get 30 days for free on us. If you go to audibletrial.com/JATG or click the link down below, you'll be taken there. You can sign up for 30 days for free and just test it out. Like there's a lot of stuff on there that you can get for free, a lot of Audible exclusives. But what I really like about Audible is that out of the hundreds and thousands of audiobooks that they have, if you decide to purchase something, that is yours forever. Like if you decide not to carry on your subscription or you want to take a break or whatever it is, you can always go back and listen to that book whenever you want through the app on the internet. Doesn't matter because it's yours. So once again, you can get that for 30 days for free on us if you go to audibletrial.com/JATG.
All right, we're on Johnny and TheGreg, and it's weird how I'm looking at it on Twitch right now.
We always look fuzzy on Twitch to me. Like
Maybe I'm seeing it wrong, but is Tina completely basically gone? Like all you see is her head?
No, she's there.
Oh, she's all there. Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Then that's just me.
I got the three of us. We all just look fuzzy, but I don't know if that's just my internet.
Oh, there she is. I got her now. Okay, Johnny and TheGreg live with our guest, as always, Badass Tina, and they're about to let me have it, folks. So, there's not. Hang on, before you guys go, I'll give you the floor as long as you want it, and then I'll respond. I'll just do that. Go. Let me have it.
What? Nah, man.
Well, first, John.
Yeah.
Are you okay, bud? We're a little worried.
Totally fine. We're totally fine, actually.
We're a little worried.
You don't need to be worried about this. This is.
See, I know it's expected, but just because it was right there, I'm starting to feel happy for you. Like at the end, I'm like, this is a thing. It'll be. Oh no, it didn't have. Like I felt a little bad. Like I did.
I felt bad until I sent you guys a little audio of me not feeling bad.
That was just Tina in the moment, just living in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So,
listen, my heart was pounding. My blood pressure was so skyrocketed because I'm like, all right, we're gonna lose like this, and I was like, why did we go for 2? Why didn't we just do the field goal? We'll be down by 2. I get it. They wanted to go up by a couple more points to get an extra possession. No. Just go for the freaking field goal. You're not going to get the 2 points. We're going to really lose by a freaking, by 2 points. No, you guys lost by 1.
Is that it?
No. Well,
no.
I am. Okay, then keep going. I'm giving you the floor here. Take advantage of it because right now I'm seriously not.
My floor too. I was fully prepared to lose. Like it was like even like at halftime, I'm like, this is a closer game than I kind of thought it was going to be. So, and as much as I like the Packers have for years, they can lose to anybody. Like that's been kind of a thing for a long time. So I'm like, well, this is it. I mean, certainly the Bears are due for a win against the Packers. And I was like, okay, well, this will be good. I'll be happy for my friend. I have my hat, my Bears hat. I know where it's at. It's where it's been sitting the whole time.
Collecting dust. Got it.
I dust it off. I keep it ready.
Okay. Just in case.
Speaking of which, Johnny.
Yeah.
You need to change that.
Yeah, I know. I was waiting for the podcast to actually begin. I usually start it with the podcast. But for those of you that do not know, a long time ago when this podcast was set up, Greg and I thought we'd come up with a cool little idea that it was just because Greg likes his Packers. I
do.
I would say, and maybe I'm wrong, you don't love them.
There are levels to love, John.
Right. But I mean, what I mean by if they lose, it's not going to drag you down. You're not going to carry it. You're not like you're the only Green Bay Packer fan who I bet you if I asked you who was your second favorite team for a long time, you would have said the Bears, which is
Yeah.
very awkward.
Well,
That's
but
very
but it's really not that weird when you figure how much
any
Packers.
other Packer fans listening right now, type in real quick and see is that weird that the Greg second favorite team is the Bears?
They will say it's weird. They'll be like, "What is wrong with you?" But you
Right.
know what? Most Packer fans pay a whole lot of attention to how the Bears are doing. Like throughout the year, they're checking who they're going to draft. They're checking their coaching changes. They're checking how the team's doing all the time. So when you start to list what are the actions of a fan, what are the actions of someone who likes a team, we check most of those boxes, except for when it comes to the win-loss. Like they follow the Bears and what's going on with that team with the hopes that they're going to do poorly. And I'm just not there. Like, I don't care really how they do.
That's where I want to get to. There's a certain level you don't care after that level.
I want them.
Right.
I want them to not beat the Packers like every other team that plays the Packers. I would rather the Packers win.
Yes.
But when they're not playing the Packers, I want the rivalry to be alive. Right. I wanted to. Today was a good game, and we haven't had like, and not in my memory anyway, because I don't keep football games in my head from year after year.
Right.
This was the first time I remember. I'm like, this is a good football game in terms of like the teams they're fighting.
Yes.
Now there was plays on both sides that I'm just like, what's happening? But for the most part, it was an entertaining game. And like, I had an emotional investment in this one,
right?
Where in years past where the Packers are just blowing them out, you're just kind of like,
right.
Okay.
So going back to where I was talking about. So Greg and I came up with I guess you could say as hardcore of a bet as both you and me would ever really technically do. And it was just basically every time the Packers would win on the podcast, I would wear a Packer hat. If the Bears ever fucking win, Greg would wear a Bear hat that I'm sure has collected a lot of dust in the last 6 years.
I keep it clean.
Yeah,
I keep it clean.
I keep it clean. Appreciate it. So I will now do this. I've never actually, but this is me paying back the bet.
I get to be a part of this. I love this.
Yeah. What's really funny,
and so I have to wear this the rest of the podcast.
I think there was one year where the Bears went farther in the playoffs than the Packers did because Rodgers can't do playoffs real well.
Oh no, never.
And the Bears were doing okay, and so I wore my Bears hat one day, and John's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
that's only for those moments.
Yeah,
that's for a different. You don't get to wear that right now. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Yeah, no, Greg, I wish I could let you. I wish I could let that stand. That it was like a Bears playoffs. That's not true.
Well, it was
something silly like preseason. It was.
Oh, was it?
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't anything great at all. Anyway, so Tina, go ahead. Are you done here? Is that it?
No.
Right,
see, like I don't follow anything through the off season because I actually don't care about that because whatever's going to happen in the off, I don't pay attention to all the players. I start paying attention as soon as the season starts, and because of fantasy football too, who I'm in first place with the most points. So, but whatever, so I don't pay attention that much to who they're drafting, but I do listen to a lot of sports, at work, right?
Yeah.
So when I am listening to, Pat McAfee or Greeny in the morning, or even Stephen A. Smith, who I cannot stand, and they start talking about the Bears, I try to pay attention to exactly what they're talking about. I actually know probably more about the Bears than I do about the Packers.
Well, you have to. You work in Illinois. Everybody's sitting down and getting a haircut from you. There's something probably. So I understand that.
Yeah. So, but I honestly think that Caleb Williams did a very, very, very good job today. He made a lot of good plays. I was like, oh my God, those last 3 or 4 plays until they got down to 3 and 19 or 3rd and 19. I was like, oh, they're going to beat us. Like, we are literally going to lose. And now I'm going to have to hear about it, which I don't like hearing about it, but I will hear about it. And I don't ever make bets. I actually I was supposed to watch it with Nick. He watches it at home. I watched it at my house. I was baking biscottis all day, yelling at the TV, saying, "My fucking God!" And then,
Yeah.
Watson got that
Yep.
huge catch. And I'm like, okay, all right, yes, we can do this. And then every time we got stopped at the goal line, I was like, what the hell is going on with us? Like, we can't get through. Like, what is going on? The defense really stuck up, stuck to their guns today.
You're ranked 30th in red zone.
Yeah, we
when you
suck.
get there, you struggle there. Unfortunately, for something that's very weird and very odd, the Bears are number 1 in there. It feels weird to be number 1 at anything. Okay, all right. Are you guys done? Are you guys good?
I mean, there might be some stuff later on
throughout. Okay.
Yeah.
Situationally,
let me get to my list here.
Did you take notes during the game?
No, I didn't take notes during the game. I just have a lot of thoughts about all this. My first thought, watching this, nothing's changed. Nothing surprised me. Nothing made me go, oh, okay. I always picture I'm at the point now where I'm more or less folding laundry, doing chores, look over my shoulder, look at it and go, okay. And I move on. So there's this season, Greg can attest for this. This season, I get hyped up, very hyped in September, and I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to it. And then around October, reality hits, and then in November, I'm already numb. I'm just like, okay, well, I'm looking for draft picks, and I'm looking for I'm moving on. It doesn't, none of it matters. My goals the rest of this year, because I predicted the Bears would go 0 for November. I didn't think they'd win a game. So all I care about is that Caleb develops and that he doesn't get hurt. That's all that matters to me the rest moving forward, because playoffs are gone. And I'm one of those people that if playoffs are gone, then I want a better draft pick. I know some people hate that shit, but that's just how I am. Okay. Cause I'm a fan. I'll be here forever. This isn't I understand players and coaches where their livelihoods depend on them doing well this season and they don't want to wait for another season, but I'm here all the time. So I don't care. Number 2, Greg can attest to this. Even when my teams are good or even when my teams are bad, I don't trash talk. I don't do it. I've never been the type to call up somebody and give them shit if their team went the opposite direction or something like that. Because 2 things. Number 1, it's always comes back to you. It's a circle.
Right.
It will never not be. And number 2 of that, I feel it's kind of silly to trash talk when you have no control over the situation. Like if we were all playing miniature golf, then I trash talk, because actually even then I wouldn't do it unless somebody came at me first. Then I would acquiesce and I would trash talk. But if no one says anything to me, I'll probably be very quiet the whole time I'm doing it. So that's number 2. So I don't trash talk. So when you're sending me all this shit, I don't care. To me, you might as well just throw it out into the ether. I will never respond to it. Even if your team blew it, I would not have responded to any of it. I just would have said good game.
What's so funny is that I was texting TJ and Tim, his dad too.
Yeah.
And and Tim sent me back one with a kitten that has and then all of a sudden he just stopped texting back. TJ told him, I think Mama's talking to herself now. Messaging.
Yeah.
But you know what? Nick is really, really bad. I've gotten worse over the last 7 years because he trash talks so much, right? And it's just I think I picked that up too. But I'm at the same time, it's the Bears fans are waiting. They are waiting to trash talk us just once every 10 years. They just wanna.
Well, you know what's funny? It's like the world, right? They say Twitter is made of the 10% of the world. The other people don't give a shit to go on, right? I think it's the same.
I'm not even
the
on
Bear
Twitter.
fans. The Bear fans you hear from are the very small minority of Bear fans. I call them the meatballs, right? So going to my
meatballs are good. Meatballs are delicious.
Okay. I wasn't referring to that, but anyway. So my third thing on these notes. Okay. So I would say pretty close. And anybody on here as well, all of our little Twitch chatters, which is funny how our Twitch chatter just exploded over this.
This is
So that's
great.
good.
I'm
That's fun.
loving it.
So my okay. I would dare to say any one of these people, Sean, Weapon X, Cousin
Which
Clay,
we
Greg.
we have. I mean, we have two Bears fans on the line,
Okay.
so let's keep like they're.
No, I'm saying I know everybody here,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Greg, Tina, I would challenge anybody that I'm more of a I'm not saying I know more, but I am more of a passionate football fan than all
Yeah.
of you. All of you.
I
And for
remember.
some reason, hang on, I'm not finished. And for some reason, I've attached my fandom to this team, and I don't understand that.
Because you live here.
No, it's more than that. It's way more than that.
It's more than that.
I I've attached my fandom to a franchise that can't get out of its own way. My franchise does a great job of applauding that the airbags deployed after crashing their beautiful car. You know what I mean? Like they compliment themselves how well they hopped after they shoot themselves in the foot. And so it's like they can't get out of their own fucking way. And so it brings me back to that great old, and Greg's already heard me say this a couple of times, but I feel like I truly mean it now until next year. What's going to happen is the old analogy, Greg, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice. I'm sorry.
No.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That's where I'm at right now. Right
now, fool me again.
Yeah. Right now, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to get excited until I see it on the grass. Now, the one thing I will say about this game, for the most part, is that, yeah, my quarterback looked good. In fact, he controlled the game. We controlled the game the entire time. We gave up big plays. And it comes down to games like this. It's always situational football, and we suck at situational football. I feel my coach played not to lose instead of playing to win, if that makes sense. Like going for 2, you didn't like it, but that's playing to win. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think I'm just waiting for what it seems like I wait every year for is I feel like we got the quarterback. For years, we haven't had the quarterback. I feel like we actually got him now. I don't think anybody watched that game and thought that guy sucks. You know?
No, he looked great.
And the only thing I think we're waiting for now is a head coach that if he can take this guy like Andy Reid, Matt LaFleur, the guy in Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell, the guys that can sit there and take their quarterback and take them just a little bit extra. That's the one thing I'm waiting for. So this is where I'm finally at. I'm actually happy you guys won because the Bears, the people that are in charge of this, okay, what would have happened was if we would have won that game, they would have probably re-signed our head coach.
Yeah,
like they're that stupid to not realize that, okay, just because he won one game doesn't mean that this is not a problem. He has had, I think, 6 games now where we've gone into the fourth quarter with a 7-point lead in 6 games. I'm sorry. We went into with like in the final 3 minutes having the lead and we fucked it away. Like it just disappeared.
Do you think that the new offensive coordinator, that Thomas Brown guy, had something to do with it this week? Like how
well they were?
Yeah.
Absolutely,
do you think that made any difference? You know what I'm saying? Like I know it's
I totally know what you're saying. I think he had almost everything to do with it. When you're in the professional leagues, and by week 3 after they lost to the Colts, they had a meeting asking the coaches to coach them harder. Greg, when have you ever heard of a team begging a coaching staff to coach them harder?
Yeah, like to drive,
especially at the professional level.
Right.
First off, that should never get out. Like I should never know about that.
Yeah, the fact that got leaked was.
Number 2, what does that say about your head coach when you have had in 14 months, you've had to fire 9 people on your staff? What does that say about your onboarding process as a head man? Should I really trust you anymore? Like, are you going to get the right guy?
So I don't know if you watched, I think it was a reel or something that I had sent you. It may have been a TikTok. It may have been a link I had to send you because I know you're not on that app, but it had to do, and they went through the past 4 or 5 like GMs, head coaches, and quarterbacks for the Bears. And it maybe even more than 4. It went
since
back
2011, since 2011.
2011. Okay. And they went through this weird cycle that I honestly didn't notice, but it was like,
we call it the cycle of suck here. Honestly, that's what it's actually called.
It's the GM, and then you get a new GM. Well, the new GM, he didn't hire the head coach, and that head coach didn't draft that quarterback. So then the GM goes, all right, I'm going to get a head coach that's in line with my philosophy. So he gets a new head coach. That head coach didn't draft that quarterback, and now he doesn't really want that quarterback. So what do? They draft a new quarterback, and then all of a sudden they're not winning. So then they have to fire the head coach. Well, the head coach they bring in, he didn't draft that quarterback either. So then they draft a new quarterback.
It's like an every 2-year thing,
They
right?
They keep doing this thing.
3 years.
3 years between the quarterback.
What it is
the head coach and the GM doing this dance.
And we're doing it
There's
again.
No consistently.
We have a lame duck. We have a lame head coach. And when you're a head coach fighting for your job, you don't care about the development of a rookie.
No.
You don't give a shit. So today's game wasn't, hey, rookie, go get it because we're going to be here for 3 years. We're going to get this win. It was, oh, God, please don't fuck up. There's 36 seconds left. Just let's run it here. And so we wind down the clock and we'll kick a field goal. That's exactly a guy who's worried about his job. But to go back to your question, Tina, I'm sorry, Greg, to cut that short. Going back to your question, Thomas Brown, who's the new OC, did have a definitive effect because he got the ball out quicker.
Like 1 second quicker is what they were
there's
saying.
Something.
Right?
Okay, this is what I mean by I challenge anybody on this podcast and even in the chat to out football me. Okay. One thing I noticed right away today, was that our formations were smaller and more condensed. We had bunch wide receivers instead of we used to spread everybody out. Now we were all bunched in. And if you pay attention to the Shanahans, the McVays, the LaFleurs, the Kevin O'Connells, they all come from the same tree, the Shanahan-McVay tree of offense. All of their condensed formations are all there. There's motion. There's a point to the motion. There's not just a guy going in there just to go that way. There's a reason for the motions. There's all these crossing. Their schemes are opening people. That wasn't happening with Shane Waldron, who was the original offensive coordinator. He had everybody spread out, and it was beat your man. And he asked a rookie quarterback to call protection and then figure out what guy was going to beat what man, a rookie, instead of giving him an easy read to warm him up and let the game come to him like you saw today. It was very easy stuff. If there was nothing there, he would run for 5 or he'd run for 16. And then around the fourth quarter, he figured out what was going on, what the defense was calling. He was in the game. He was in zone. He wasn't thinking. He was in the zone. You know what I mean by that?
Don't think, just do.
Yeah, he was just doing it, and that's what you started seeing. So, yes, to answer your question, he had a definite change. Going back to those formation spreads, they actually keep statistical numbers on that. And all the McVays, including Green Bay, all their formations, and I'm talking about lineman splits. You know, Greg, you know what lineman splits are. Right?
And I want to comment on that when you finish your thought.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
So even for them, they're closer. Everything's more bunched together to get the defense all fucked up and looking at eye candy. I think LaFleur is one of the greatest to do that, where he gets people going one way and he goes right up the gut. Or then he fakes up the gut, goes over here, bubble screen. Like he's throwing all this shit to where, as a defender, you're doing this. And if you pause in this league, you're screwed. So, anyway, all the formation condenses, all the McVay Shanahan people are at the bottom of the league in terms of ranking, in terms of how close their formations are. And our guy, Shane Waldron, who was considered a Shanahan McVay guy, he was ranked 7th in terms of formation splits, meaning he had the most Like they were mostly spread out more than most teams in the league. And then finally today, we got all condensed. We were getting easy pickups. People seemed the Bears seemed wide open, I would say. When they threw a guy, he had plenty of room to run, plenty of room to do something after it. So go ahead, Greg. You were going to talk about the split.
Well, just the offensive line. I was impressed with the Bears' offensive line today. 70 was throwing some major blocks that,
yeah,
and they weren't just. I mean, they weren't huge in the like he's annihilating guys and taking them off their cleats. Although he did do that a couple times, he was doing an excellent job of just getting in the way and giving his running back. I mean, as a pulling tackle or a motion tackle, like someone who's getting out, like he knows he's got the guy running behind him and he's just looking to get in the way of somebody.
Everybody was on the same page.
Yeah, he had a really great, his head was on a swivel.
Yeah.
I was just really impressed. And I started on the offensive game, I started paying attention to him. I didn't even catch his name, but I was just really impressed.
Braxton Jones, number 7.
Yeah, I think it was yeah.
Braxton Jones.
Really, really impressed with and that's the thing. I mean, to me, the Bears, in my experience, were always their offensive line is something that used to be super impressive.
Yes,
and
we were built on the lines.
Especially
in the 80s.
Yeah, trying to pull a team back to that is.
Yeah, I think that's been the biggest miscue of this general manager is that he's building it from the outside in instead of the inside out. Which, if you watch Detroit, they built it from the inside out, and they are steamrolling people now.
Yeah, they annihilated Jacksonville today. Just it was like a prison scene.
Yeah, that's what they've been doing all year.
Last Sunday when they were losing, right? Was it last Sunday night?
Yes.
I fell asleep and I woke up in the third quarter and they were still, I think, losing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I went to bed and I woke up in the morning. I was like, how the fuck did that happen? Like I should not.
You know how that happened? This is another thing. The Bears, I have never heard so much talking about the Chicago Bears in terms of how great their culture is than this year. All we heard throughout the entire offseason on Hard Knocks, training camp, even September, our great culture. Everybody wants to come here. Where Detroit shows you their culture, the Bears talk about their culture. Which tells me you got a fucking problem with your culture.
Well, listen, 3 years ago when they got Dan Campbell in the first place and he made that speech
where he's like, "Oh, joke!" I thought that was.
Exactly. But at the same time, you could like hear it that he really freaking cared about it. Like, he believed it.
He believed it.
And then now it's like, well, going back to, how Greg said, okay, well, I'm going to root for the Packers, but if the Bears, are playing whatever, right? I always believe that I'm going to root for the NFC because that's our division.
Well,
right?
Yeah.
Right. I've never rooted for Detroit. I've never rooted for Minnesota. I've barely rooted for the Bears this much.
I understand.
Maybe that much, right?
Yeah, of course.
I am looking forward to seeing the Lions in the Super Bowl and actually win it.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for that team that has been so bad for so long too.
Since 1954.
Yeah.
Dude, they deserve it. They deserve it. You can see how hard they work.
Not only that,
like you said, you can see, you can feel it.
Yeah, the way they built it, I think is the way that if you're a football,
it should run a clinic on how to rebuild a team.
Yeah, if you're like if you're a football diehard, like I love offensive line and defensive line dominance. I love that shit. I think that's so awesome.
That's fun to watch.
And yeah, exactly. It's fun to watch. And I love watching the way they play. Like their style, that screams to me, that should be the Chicago Bears. That should be them.
Well,
that should be.
And what's frustrating with the Bears, and this is coming from a Packer, is that there's no reason it can't be. Like the Bears have all the pieces, I believe.
I'll tell you what's really frustrating.
Almost.
You're right.
I think they don't have the right head coach. I'm interested to see, because I think Eberflus is going to be out. I would really like to, if Saleh went in there, I'd like to see what he would do.
Robert Saleh?
Yeah.
No, thanks.
No, thanks.
No, not me.
Oh.
No, here's the problem that the Bears are in right now. They have, I would say, the most talented quarterback they've ever had in their entire history.
Correct. Yeah.
And they're going to need somebody to come in here that knows how to develop that position.
Yeah, that sounds solid. But
yeah, it's not Saleh. So I think they're going to go offensive minded. Who I would like is the Lions offensive head coach. I don't know if that's possible. I just don't know. Because management is so. It's the problem. The ultimate problem with the frustration of being a Bear fan is I can see, and everybody can see what the problems are. How are the people in charge getting paid millions of dollars? They can't see it.
Right. That's a good point.
Because when you're in it and you don't think that you're doing something wrong and you see something else that you're physically, let's just put it to a different analogy, right? Like you're cooking and somebody else says, "Oh, well, you put too much of this," or they taste something different than what
Get out of my kitchen.
Exactly, right? I cut hair and they tell me I do certain things and I'm like, I don't, like you don't see your own mistakes because you don't want to see them.
Okay, but hear me out. Let's work that analogy of cooking. If you cook that way and people kept telling you that's too much salt, and then you give it to people and over 100 people say that's too much salt, are you still going to? Are you going to sit there and say, "You guys suck"? No, that's not true. Or are you going to go, "Oh, maybe there isn't salt, or maybe I didn't put enough."
Yeah. Or maybe I didn't put enough. Exactly.
Or if you're still getting paid a shit ton of money to use that much salt, whether people like it or not, why change?
Yeah.
Exactly. They're still getting paid. Yeah.
See, and John, this is why I don't need to rant about the Bears, is because you do it just fine.
There's no need.
I don't need to really.
I don't even think I'm ranting. I'm just telling the fucking truth.
Well, but like week after week, I don't need to. I don't need to rant. What it is. You're going to do it just fine on your own.
Oh yeah. But trust me, I don't need any trash talking or anything. I know exactly what I'm fucking watching. Yeah. I know exactly what I see. And I guess the problem I have at this point in my life as a Bears fan is, Johnny, why the fuck are you a Bears fan? Why can't you be happy on Sundays? You can choose San Diego Chargers right now. You can choose
any team.
Any team. And I choose to just stick this fucking team out. And I guess it's because I think to myself, hey, if it happened with Detroit, it can happen here.
It's going to happen for us someday. It's just going to happen someday.
It's just going to happen for us, Anyway, moving on. Anybody watch the Netflix boxing thing?
I tried.
Dude, I fell asleep in the third round because I'm like, let's talk about the girls' fight first.
The women's boxing, holy
shit.
That was
and she
amazing.
Got fucking robbed.
She did. Yeah.
She got
John,
robbed.
Did you watch the women's championship bout?
Not at all.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of it. I didn't watch any of it.
It was fantastic boxing.
Yeah.
And two champions were going at it, and they were defending a belt. And she got robbed. It went to the decisions and should have never been. But oh man, one girl.
And that was the second time it went to the decision.
Was it Santiago? Was that her name? I can't remember.
No,
she had
Serrano. I'm Santiago.
Sorry.
Her
Serrano,
cut was like,
she had a gash on her eyebrow.
I saw that.
It was like she would get hit, and then there like you could have just did that to it. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah.
You know what upset me was that, like, you could visibly see how that Taylor chick kept digging her head,
like she
kept
lead.
leading with her head, and she kept digging it on the left side or on the right side, whatever. Yeah, the right side. And it was like she was getting tired, but then she was moving her head in, and I swear to God, there was something in her braid, because when the headbutt happened, when she got cut, it wasn't like a visible, it didn't look like it was really, really hard. It just looked like she got in there and scraped it up. And I'm like, there's something in her freaking hair. Yeah, I think
it was her coach. One of her coaches at the end of the fight was not shy on the microphone. He was like, when are we gonna get some actually fair refs in here? And I was like,
Yeah.
Like you usually don't see that, especially in a major fight that's like in an international audience. But he went off.
Yeah.
So
it was great.
yeah,
That's always been my problem.
Clay,
with,
same thing. Like
that's always been my problem with boxing was that it's always there's always some sort of conspiracy that a ref got. Like it's too easy to be what's the word?
Fixed?
Corrupted, fixed.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's too easy.
With the cut that her name is Amanda. Yeah, I think. Well, Serrano. The cut that she had, I'm so happy that they didn't stop it when they did, because they could have stopped that in the fourth round, I think it was.
Yeah, the doctor was like, no, we can keep going.
Yeah.
I was shocked that he let it keep going because
then the next time that she got hit, you could see it starting to flap down.
It literally, like you could see the flap up and then.
Yeah. It was pretty gnarly, but that was probably the best fight of the entire night. Night.
Yep.
Here's
the Jake Paul fight, the Jake Paul Tyson.
This is what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, here we go.
Well, obviously, yes, but there was a better fight.
I should have known. Like, I got too excited about Tyson coming back, and you want to talk about people thinking the fight was fixed. We have footage. Netflix did a documentary the week before. I mean, we saw Tyson sparring and training, and he was going fast. He was going hard. He gets into the fight itself. None of that. None of the speed, none of the power, to the point where you're like, is he sick? Like, does he have the flu?
Well,
people were talking about a knee brace. I'm like, is it bothering him that much? I mean, I don't know. It was weird. And yeah, I was
told that there was something in the contract that Jake Paul said he's not allowed to knock him out. Like Tyson was not allowed to knock him out. That was in the contract. And you just looked at Tyson and you're just like, he's just thinking like, what the fuck am I going to do then? Like you could just see he got gassed out in that second round too. He just looked gassed. Then again, they also fucking showed his ass cheeks, which weird. I thought
that was what
I was like, are you guys trying to disrespect him? Are you guys trying to like,
it seemed that way.
It was so bad. And I was so mad.
So
I wanted redemption for him, but like.
So here's the reason I didn't watch it. Number one,
because your Netflix went out because everybody's Netflix was going.
No, there was an interview that went viral with him talking to a 13-year-old girl that was interviewing him. Do you guys remember this video?
Mm-mm.
Oh, Greg, if you can look this up, put it up here before
recently?
Yeah, it went viral. Just put Mike Tyson interviewed by 13-year-old girl, and it'll come up. And then, so I'm going to hold off on my comment until he can bring that up and share that with the audience. But there's a reason I didn't watch it. After I saw that interview, I said, I don't need to watch it. Okay, but I'll go into Jake Paul. Jake Paul, my friend, when are you going to actually challenge somebody that can actually hang out? Like, why are you challenging people that are over the hill to take a dive? And that's what you're doing. You're hiring people. Yeah.
The older generation is wanting to see that. They're going to put money towards it.
To me, that tells me Jake Paul isn't a fighter. He's an entertainer.
Correct. Well, look at Logan Paul too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's fine. You got it, Greg?
Maybe. I mean, okay. I've got some.
He's like in a jeans and a collared shirt, and there's this little girl next to him.
You tell me which one to click on.
The second one, right here. All right, listen to this, everybody.
Wait. I forgot to.
Oh, actually, don't do that because this guy's going to talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, so get out of that one. I want just the actual interview.
I got to share my sound. I forgot to do that because they changed the buttons here.
Up there, it says MMA Junkie up top. Right there. See that where he's talking to that girl right there?
Right here?
Yeah. Is it going to show the actual video, though?
Morbid answer.
Okay, here it is. Press play on this. Watch this. Oh, is this not it? This isn't it.
No,
sorry, Greg.
I don't think that's it either.
Yeah.
This is
Here it is. Perfect. Watch this.
Well,
Listen.
in your return to the ring for this fight, you are setting a monumental opportunity for kids my age to see the legend Mike Tyson in the ring for the first time. What type of legacy would you like to leave behind when it's all said and done?
Man, I don't know. I don't believe in the word legacy. I just think that's another word for ego. That's just some word everybody grabbed onto. Now it's used every 5 seconds. It means absolutely nothing to me. I'm just passing through. I'm going to die, and it's going to be over. Who cares about legacy after that? What a big ego. So I'm going to die. I want people to think that I'm this, I'm great. No, we're nothing. We're just dead. We're dust. We're absolutely nothing.
okay.
Our legacy is nothing.
Okay, so she goes into it, and she handled herself well because she goes,
she did.
Okay, that's something I've never heard before.
So, I mean, I remember watching an interview with Tyson years ago, like probably about the time that he was making The Hangover. So it's been years ago. And somebody asked him, do you ever want to box again? He goes, no, I can't. I that guy was a savage. That boxer was a savage. He was barbaric. I had to kill that guy. I had to bury him, and he can't ever come out again.
Right.
So when he said he was going to fight again, even when he did that exhibition fight a couple of years ago, which was, again, kind of a joke, like, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
It was just two old dudes kind of poking at each other. And this was kind of the same speed of a fight. But you're right. And I want to go back to John's comment because I was looking that up about Logan Paul. I'm sorry, Jake Paul not fighting fighters or contenders.
Right.
He's finding people that are not lifelong boxers. Nobody else ranked in boxing, like in his weight class. He's going all over the board. He's completely
fighting ex-NBA players.
Yeah, he's completely circumventing the world, like the actual sport of boxing, because because I mean, they're like, Evander Holyfield was analyzing Paul's fights and is like, no, this kid's got skills. Like he's a fighter. I mean, because that's all he does. So I'm like, why not? Because he's making enough money that he doesn't have to fight real fighters. We're all coming in droves and crashing Netflix servers because we want to see him get knocked the fuck out. And it is never going to happen. Like,
Right.
And until the masses learn that we can move on from Jake Paul, and because he'll grab like a man in death throes. He will just grab at anything to try to be relevant. And until we don't care anymore. Right. But the fact is, like, he's the most exciting thing in boxing right now. I can't even name who the heavyweight champion in boxing is right now because they don't make a big deal about it anymore.
Yeah. Greg's right. After I saw that interview with Tyson, I decided I wasn't going to watch Netflix because he just told you right there, if he doesn't care about his legacy, he's going to take a dive. That's what he was going to do. He didn't give a shit. He didn't care. And when I saw that, I thought, well, then we're not going to get Mike Tyson. We're going to get some guy that's going to sit there and throw a few punches here and make it look good. But at the end of the day, he'll let Logan Paul win. And he's going to walk home with probably the biggest payday.
40 million.
Yeah. So he didn't care. The minute I heard that interview, I said, oh, he's taking a dive. This is over. Like, I don't need to watch that. I don't need to watch Mike Tyson take a dive from Jake Paul.
And so many people are second by second analyzing the fight, where at one point Tyson got a pretty good chin shot and they're like, but do you see what Paul does? He like gestures a little bit, which they're saying is the signal that like, hey, Mike, that was too much.
Yeah. That hurt,
like,
Mike.
That hurt. Don't do that. Like, we need to take this thing the full amount of rounds and we need to get it done. And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
So it's disappointing. It was kind of the reason I started watching more MMA and like different kind of combat sports, because boxing this is what boxing is. But the solace is that women's boxing is becoming a thing, or not becoming a thing. It is a thing that we can watch, and there's a ton more action. Like, you look at how many punches thrown in that women's championship fight versus how many punches thrown in a heavyweight men's fight, it dwarfs the amount.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, hey, I came across something I thought was kind of interesting. I wanted to run it by you guys. Have you heard of Crierball Whiskey?
No.
Okay, it's brought to you by the fine folks at Fireball. What Crierball Whiskey is a limited edition whiskey from Fireball Whiskey that's made with the tears from fans who lose football games.
Oh,
Not shitting you. Here's how it's made. Fireball employees in tier collector uniforms collect tears from fans in key games using sealed jars and tear droppers. The tears are then sterilized and distilled over a course of several months. Fireball's aim is to capture the spirit of the game by blending the emotion of heartbreak with Fireball's cinnamon flavor. Fireball plans to have Crierball ready for the 25-26 football season. They'll announce the locations of activations near each stadium in their social channels. Shot or
like
no shot,
Fireball,
Greg? Are you
Fireball
ever
wasn't.
going to take a drink of this?
No, because Fireball's shitty enough. I mean,
It
we
is
don't have
shitty.
to. Oh, it's terrible. I don't
Would
even
you
know why
guys
people
ever
call it
want to
whiskey.
take? Let's just forget about Fireball whiskey. Do
Would I want
you
to drink
want
the tears of my
tears
opponents?
of
No,
somebody else? Yes.
no,
Jesus, that's
no.
disgusting.
I
no,
remember.
put the worm in the tequila instead. Okay,
I
let's take the worm.
yes, I would rather do that. Rewind to like maybe 1992, 1991, something like that. Johnny Depp made a movie called Cry Baby.
Yes.
In that film, the female love interest is crying over Johnny Depp and like collecting her tears in a cup. And at one point, she drinks it. That about made me puke.
Ooh.
Like, I couldn't, like, when I was at that age, I was like, oh, like it was too much. And anyway, so that's what that reminded me of. So no, I will
There,
not
yeah,
be trying.
yeah. I just can't believe that would even like real
Who came
human
up with
tears.
that? Yeah, like who even thought of that idea? Maybe
Some
from
kid,
watching that movie.
some intern that got hired.
Millennial marketers.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Some guy was like, it'd be a good idea. You imagine that? You imagine getting that job, being at the guy at a big time college football rivalry game, another Bear Packer, Steelers Ravens, and sitting there and saying, or Bills Chiefs, and sitting there saying, "Excuse me, hi, you look really torn up. Can I just take
no,
that and put that in
she
here? We're
better
trying to."
be damn pretty and have that cleavage
Right?
out for anybody to kind of come up and do that.
Agreed.
Which, by the way, can we talk about the real stars of the fight on Netflix? The ring girls.
Oh, that's all
Like,
I'm hearing about.
they're like
Dude.
the refs trying to do the rules, and here is like over spray tan shelf boobies just like right on camera.
Me and one of the other guys were looking at it, and my boyfriend finally was just like, "Oh, that's back there."
It's I had like my daughters
not
who
miss it.
have never watched boxing, but they, especially my youngest who's getting into sports, she's like, "What's happening? What the hell is this?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, in boxing or in fights in general, they're called ring girls, and they walk around and they're like, "But why are they?" I'm like, because it's misogynistic. I mean, it's the best I can tell you. I don't have the rule book, but yeah, the models that they got in Dallas to do that, but I didn't quite get the spray tanness of it all, but Jesus.
Yeah.
That was a lot. That was quite a lot. Yeah. It was just there.
Tina,
here we go. So they have
Tina-
spray tan booths. Yes.
Tina, you got it. Oh, actually, cousin Clay asked me, "Am I gonna go see Wicked?" I don't know what he means by that.
Because he knows you
Oh,
hate
because it's in
musicals.
theater. Yeah. Oh.
Is that? By the way, I don't that. Okay, we got to do this again, Greg. I don't hate musicals. I'm selective in them. I love The Greatest Showman. That's a musical, is it
Okay.
not?
Okay. Yes, it is.
Yes. Is Moana a musical?
It's animated.
Yeah, I love that. It's Frozen.
I love Moana. I cannot wait for number. Yeah.
John, on this show, I mean, you're defining it a little bit more now, but you have said you hate musicals before. Like, that is a quote that we could probably go back and find. But
Really?
yeah.
I've always thought I said I hate that musical. Like
No,
Hamilton.
you
Hamilton.
were,
I hate
you were
that thing.
very anti-musical for a time. Like, even in college, you were not a musical lover at all. Like
Okay.
we would be in, like, I remember being in you and I took the same theater class,
Yeah.
and we're in the costume room. Like we're sewing
Wicked
together,
versus Gladiator 2.
we're sewing together little patches for someone's senior project because we had to do time in the costume department, and so we're in
Yeah.
there doing that. And there's something playing on the radio.
Rent. I remember this.
It was
Rent. That
Oh.
fucking
So
Rent.
it's playing. It's
Jesus.
playing.
525.
I had never heard it yet. And I was like, John, what's playing? He's like, don't you dare ask. Don't you dare fucking ask. And I'm like, no, I want to know what it is. This sounds pretty good. And so I go, hey, what are we listening to? And every other theater kid in that costume department stopped what they were doing. They went, you don't know what this is? And I'm like, no, what is it? It's Rent. And like an idiot, I said, what's Rent? Oh my God. I had at least 4 gay men come up to me and just be like, we need to talk. And they explained.
Allegedly gay. Allegedly.
Was it?
I don't think they came out at that time.
Oh, well, they probably should have by now.
Yeah.
Dude, one of them came to your mom's funeral to hit on you.
I know,
Ooh.
but that
Yeah.
wasn't at that wasn't at that time.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, they schooled me on the entire show, and I had to listen to like they went song by song. They would explain the setup before the song, listen to the song, stop, wait for my reaction, and then set up the next song. And I was like, oh, okay. I walked out of there. John's like, I told you not to say anything. I'm like, I didn't know.
Yes, you did. I told you not to do it.
It was a record scratch. Absolutely, Sean. Just what?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
Yep. That's true. That's true.
So-
That's that the record scratch. I'm going to take a little sidebar here. My record scratch, Tina, we'll go to yours, and if you ever had one. My record scratch was the first time we went to, or the first time I was invited to a house party. First time ever as a freshman. I walk in there, they hand me a plastic cup, and I go downstairs, and there's this really hot girl who's like filling up beer. And I didn't know I was in line for beer. I just knew I was in line. And so when I get up to the tap, I sit there and I go, and she's like, okay, you want some? I'm like, no, do you guys have like a wine cooler or something? And record scratch, everybody stopped, looked at me, and Cameron Robideau went, he's joking. No, man, that's not, no, it's funny, John. He was like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, what? I prefer wine cooler and
I
stuff.
want some Bartles and James.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't like beer at the time, but he's like, you fucking take that beer and you drink the whole goddamn thing and you will like it. He goes,
Sure.
you got to keep drinking it until you like it.
Is there a Barry Seagram's somewhere?
Yeah. But that's
Mixed
what
berry?
that's what I did. Did
Yeah.
you ever have one of those record scratch moment, Tinas, in your life? Or
I'm really trying to think, and
You just drank whatever they gave you.
no, I'm just thinking of just any situation. Like more of them on here. I probably have a lot of them on this show.
well, that's only when you tell your parent jokes. That's it.
I got a good one today.
Oh no, it's
I
coming.
actually got a couple of them.
Yeah, they're coming. That's still on the
Yeah.
that's still on the agenda here.
Yeah.
Greg,
Well,
should we tell Ursula's record scratch moment that you were a part of? She's had a couple, but
inform me what I was a part of? Yeah.
yeah, you were there where the Comic-Con.
Oh God. Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So we're in the line, and this is when Comic-Con was big and there were like crowds. So we're walking through crowds.
It's Chicago Comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was right around the time that Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out.
That's what.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know where you're
So
going. with that, but
there's posters and there's advertisements for it. So we're seeing it. And I think I said to Greg something like, dude, that looks awesome. Like, I can't wait for that.
it was
wasn't-
preview season. Yeah. We
Yes.
didn't know yet.
We didn't
so-
know what it was, but I was excited for it. I love Indiana Jones.
Yeah. We were excited
Anyway.
for another Indiana Jones.
So Ursula goes, what are you talking about? She looks over and she goes, oh, Indiana Jones? God, Sahara was better than that. And
Sahara's a Matthew McConaughey
yeah,
piece of shit movie.
yeah. Matthew McConaughey and Steve Zahn movie.
Steve's on.
And
Treasure
literally We stopped moving because everybody in the line, like everybody in the crowd, stopped, turned over and looked at her. Huge dude,
Huge dude.
huge black man with dreads, grabs my arm, squeezes it, and goes, "You better get rid of her."
Yeah, just like, you got to get rid of her. I mean, just looked at her, and I'm like,
I was like, God, you got to keep moving, honey. You got to keep moving.
yeah.
Yeah, that
And
was
even
her
I was
record
like-
scratch moment.
She's like, Sahara was better. And I was like, yeah, what?
Everybody.
Yeah.
I was like, read the room.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
So anyway, all right.
That's funny.
Tina, you got any weird facts, crazy facts, messed up facts? You didn't prepare any, did you?
Actually, yeah. It was about like the generations, like the different. I was talking to a client, and we were talking about like the different generations, like millennials and Gen Zs and whatever.
Okay.
And he asked me, he's like, what generation would Forrest Gump land under? And I was like, well, and me and another client and everybody were
Baby
trying to
boomer?
He's a
think,
boomer. He's a
That's
boomer.
what I
well,
thought. Baby
boomer,
boomer.
right?
Yeah, baby
I
boomer.
thought because of the Vietnam, and he's like, no, it's he's a part of Gen A.
Oh God.
Gen A.
Gen A.
had to. So you have no facts. You have a joke.
It
Yeah.
was a fact of some
So you
sort.
tried to slip in a joke.
I have no facts today. I only
Yeah.
had jokes.
Yeah. I got a fact for you. So Greg and I were talking about levels to fandomhood in terms of like when the Green Bay Packer fans, you guys have a different set of expectations for a season. It's almost a foregone conclusion you're going to be in the playoffs, right?
Mhm.
Right? Wouldn't you
Close
say
to
that?
playoff.
Yeah.
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 I looked it up for since 92 is kind of when I feel like the Packers regained their winning ways, right? Because they took a long sleeper for the 70s and the 80s, right? They sucked.
Yeah.
And then in the
Okay.
90s they caught fire
Yeah.
again.
They did.
So
Right.
in the 90s, since 92 to now, you've only not gone to the playoffs 9 times. That's pretty impressive over a 35 40-year span.
To
Wow.
the point where it's such an expectation now that when we don't make the playoffs, you're like,
Right.
we so suck.
Correct.
Like
Correct.
we
Yeah.
throw a
So-
fit.
What was like going to expectations, like I the analogy I used were for Packers or Steeler fans or 49er fans, it's like, hey, when I got my latte, they didn't put the cool little thing on my phone. They didn't put the cool little leaf on my phone. To a Bear fan, it's like, can I just have a hot cup of coffee? That's all I'm looking for here right now.
Just the McDonald's
want a
black
hot
coffee.
Yeah, black coffee. And can it be hot? I just need it hot. Just regular good cup of coffee. I was looking at the Steelers and their Mike Tomlin's record. Okay. And the reason I
Has
bring this up,
never had a losing record.
never since 2007, this man has never
Yep.
had a losing season.
Yep.
He's been a head coach for 18 years, has never lost, and he won't lose this year either. He's 7-2 now.
Yeah.
He's never had a losing season, and if you ask diehard Steeler fans, they can't wait to get rid of him. That's
Really?
the standard because it's not good enough. You know how many in those 18 years he's won a championship? 1 time.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, he's been to the Super Bowl twice, lost to the Packers.
And we beat him.
Yeah.
Yep.
We beat him.
And the first time he went to the Super Bowl, I think against, I don't know, like the Cardinals or somebody.
Yeah.
And they won. So he's won 1 championship. And it's funny, as a Bear fan, you look at that and you're like, I'll take that. I'll take those 18 years of that. I'll take that. And where Steeler fans can't wait to get rid of the guy.
That's weird.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
So you're looking at expectations. So when I first said how I felt watching this game, I was like, this is who we are. Bears are going to bear.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
You know, it's interesting. Like for some reason this year, like I was still hanging on to hate for one team.
Oh, here it comes. I want to hear about this. Yes.
I would always love to hate the Minnesota Vikings. Like and for some reason this year, gone. Like I don't care. Like I'll watch a Vikings game. Like I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I don't know what it is that changed in me that all of a sudden, like I don't have a seething hate for the purple.
I have a
Yes.
theory.
Okay.
You watched QB1 and you
I
kind of
did.
liked Kirk Cousins, and that opened up your heart to the idea that maybe the Minnesota Vikings are actually human beings.
Could have been.
Well,
Well,
Cousins is on my fantasy team. I'm just letting you know.
a little bit of that and a little bit of like I had to examine when did I really start hating the Vikings?
Isn't it
And
when Krista pretended to like them?
no.
Okay.
It was after that, which is why was so indignant when she was like, I kind of like the Vikings. Fucking what? I mean, like I had a reaction.
Randy Moss?
Yeah, nah, not Randy Moss. I can't remember who they had of a defensive lineman who was just dirty as hell. Was it Ndamukong Suh?
That was a Detroit Lion.
Okay, then it wasn't him.
Yeah.
They had another guy.
John Randall?
Maybe he was a linebacker. I honestly can't remember.
Okay.
Like I don't keep this knowledge in my head.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, they had for like 4 seasons, he was one of their best defensive players, but he was dirty. Like he had multiple fines. You would see him like grabbing a hold of ankles and then doing like quick rolls to try to bust an ankle.
Yeah.
In the pile.
Yeah.
And for some reason that fired me up. I'm like, those guys are terrible. Like I can hate them. Like that was. And
I always thought you guys hated them because technically since the 90s, they've been your biggest rival in the division.
Well, and I think that all those ingredients were kind of added in. And I do think distance for me had something to do with it because Minnesota, like Minneapolis is farther away from me than Chicago is.
Right.
So I'm like, we run into Bears fans pretty normally around where I grew up and where I live, as opposed to like, if you're in Stevens Point, which is like the exact middle of the state, or even if you're more towards the border and there's more Minnesota people, maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, that like, it just added to me to say, I don't like the Vikings. I hate those guys. And for some reason, this year, and possibly the quarterback show had something to do with it. But yeah, I don't harbor that kind of like
any ill will.
Yeah. Like I don't want to see them lose, but and if they win, I'm like, okay, like that's
I think the last thing we'll talking about football. You know what and we're kind of going back to where we started, but the one thing I'm really shocked is how so many people, like especially the people within the division of who we cheer for and stuff, the love for the Lions. Like I haven't met a guy that's like, oh fuck those Lions, fuck that. I haven't met somebody like that. They're like, hey, did you see the Lions? Wow, that's impressive. Like that's it's just funny how there's all this love for the Lions.
Well, and I love a good.
Sean just said it. I think most people want to see the Lions win this year. I think he's right.
Yeah.
I think they do. And like, do you remember me when I was like a Browns fan like 4 seasons ago?
Yeah,
because I wanted that underdog to kind of make it happen, and then they just never.
Tina, on this podcast, we used to have I guess if you ever have one of those situations, like, did you ever have a parent that's when they set table for Thanksgiving, they set an extra plate for in case somebody was coming, or they set a plate for like, I don't know, like Santa Claus or something, like they set a plate or for Jesus or something like that, right?
We did that, yeah.
Okay. So Greg and I on this podcast always had a special place for Browns fans.
Yeah, like it was
because we were like, you poor bastards, your colors don't look good. You got nothing really going on over there, and
you're in Cleveland.
You're in Cleveland, and if we ever meet a Browns fan, we're gonna sit down and buy you a beer.
Yeah,
and God damn it, the Bears are right there with them. So I wanted
them to see. I thought they were gonna make some good moves and like become like at least an average team, and they didn't. So.
The one thing I will say about the Lions, I was always a fan of Barry Sanders. I don't know if you guys remember that guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I was a huge fan of him, and I've always liked their color schemes. That's all. Yeah. Like Honolulu blue, I think it looks cool with silver. Cool. But anyway, all right. Greg, are we ready for some Polyjamoury?
Sure. Came across this one today, actually. I cannot find really any information on the artists that are on this. It's just not popping up. So You can look it up on your own. Added it to the playlist. Added it to the playlist today. So this is, hold on just 2 seconds. I will copy a link to the playlist, drop that in the chat for anybody that would like to drop that. Okay, it's not going in the chat. So I will make sure it gets in there. This is Ursine Volpine is the main artist.
Okay.
And Anacia they did a little collab together. And remember, like, Polyjamoury, when it got started, was because I like covers. I like, you know, a song would go big. I want to find the cover of it that matches a little bit more to my style. So this is a great cover. A lot of people have covered this song, Wicked Games, from Chris Isaac. I'm starting this 43 seconds into the song because there's a lot of buildup for this one, and I don't want us to just sit here and stare at each other for 43 seconds. But this is Wicked Games, computer audio. We should be sharing. So this is Wicked Games from Ursine Volpine and Anacia.
It's strange what desire will make foolish people do. I never dreamed that I'd meet somebody like you, and I never dreamed that I'd lose somebody like you. No, I don't wanna fall in love. No,
I picture like a ballerina dance routine.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, definitely something a little bit more low key than we used to.
I'm being all honest here. I'm not even trying to be a smart ass, but when do you listen to this type of music, Greg? Like,
I would listen to this would be a couple different times, possibly. When I'm working, like, and I just want something on in the background.
Okay.
Or
Could be that.
a bubble bath.
Bubble bath.
I haven't had one of those in a while. This could go on the Smexy Time playlist. So
okay.
That could happen.
That could help you take your time on certain things.
Yeah, because you don't want. Sometimes you just want to slow down, right?
Yeah,
and this
slow down.
This has the tempo that.
Whoa, slow down, calm down. I have been told that a few times. God bless her. I love her. Yeah, this is Greg. This is not what I expected today. I actually expected some sort of Packer polka or something.
I thought about it, but you know,
yeah,
it would just be for the fun of it because most Packer songs, you're like, it's not great.
You know what song I actually like? I actually never mind it. Is the I don't want to work. Just
sure,
hang on these drums all day.
Because that's not a Packer song. I mean, they adopted that song.
No, they do it every time they score a touchdown.
They do, but that song came out in like the late 80s.
Well, I mean, it feels like I associate with the Packers now. I don't associate.
Well, yeah, just like Jump Around is associated with the Badgers, but it wasn't originally a Badgers tune.
Yeah. So. Oh, talk about that. They lost to the #1 team.
Oh, God,
that
so
was a
close.
heartbreaker.
That was.
Oh.
Like, I had it pinned on my phone, and I just kept checking the score. I'm like, we could pull this. Oh, no.
Yeah. No, we can't. Okay. All right. Tina, parent joke of the week. Go ahead. So any of you guys looking out there to
parent joke now?
Yeah, well, because I can't call it a dad joke because that's taking out moms everywhere. So, parent joke of the week. So anybody out there that loves dad jokes or mom jokes, Tina is your girl. Go.
What's the difference between Marty McFly and the Chicago Bears fans?
Oh, fuck you. What?
At least Marty stops going back to 1985.
That was good. I'll give you that one. That was good.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it.
Oh,
That's all I got. I'm gonna
that was
land
good.
on
Yeah,
Tim laugh.
good. Stick the landing. Very rarely,
Yeah.
folks, will I ever laugh at Tina's jokes because they're horrible. But that was a good one. That got me. That was a good one.
Yeah.
I can appreciate a good bear joke. I can appreciate it. I'm sure cousin Clay's racking his brain right now. Okay, National Day today, folks, is National Butter Day. It's also National Homemade Bread Day, so I guess those two go hand in hand. You know, there's nothing like seriously good homemade bread with butter.
hmm
Like that's one of those staples, like a good like what's your favorite kind of cookie to have with milk? Like what really hits the spot? Is it
Double stuffed
chocolate
Oreo.
chip or is it what double stuffed Oreo?
The double stuffed Oreo.
Is it like oatmeal raisin? Oatmeal
I like
walnut?
I like the chocolate chip. I like
Chocolate,
my chunky chocolate chip one.
chocolate chip, chocolate chip. Greg, you said, have you ever done that double stuffed Oreo? Filled it like this much milk in a, what is it? A mug. Put the double stuffed Oreo, put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. It says it absorbs all of the milk into the cookie and it becomes huge. I don't know if that's a bullshit internet thing or if that actually happens.
Yeah, because I'm not a warm milk guy, so that doesn't appeal to me
Yeah,
so
but that
much.
sounds
But
like almost like a brownie. Like
Yeah,
like it
that's
would
from what
absorb
I
Yeah,
understand.
maybe.
That's yeah.
I have
Mhm.
seen people that do like the layer of Oreo cookies on like the bottom of a
Oh, did he freeze?
No. No, Gregory, no.
He'll come back. He'll come
I
back.
can hear you
Oh,
guys.
Yeah,
just
see, he always
fine.
says that.
okay.
When
You
he
just stopped
freezes,
it like
he's
this.
always like, "I hear you guys."
I do. I hear you. Like she's like,
I know, but-
"No, what happened?" No,
Yeah,
like,
because
like, I can
nothing-
hear that.
Because you went like this. You said, I'm one of those guys that like to put a cookie on the.
And then let that go where it goes. But like a 13x9 pan,
Yes.
layer of Oreo cookies, some kind of filling, and then you put like an Oreo cake mix on top. You make a dump cake out of it. That's pretty good.
Mhm. So, Johnny, you know how I make my biscottis every
Yes.
year for Christmas?
Yes.
So I've already done it four times. Like I've had 4 days of baking. Guess what I'm at right now?
You mean number
Guess
wise? How many you have?
how many individual I've made.
Individual or packets? Because I know you put them in
So-
packets.
So individual, like when I cut them up and
Okay.
then I package them in threes. So individually, how many do you think I've made already in 4 baking sessions?
513. Don't answer it yet. Anybody in the chat also put in your number. What do you think? I got 513. Greg?
$1. No,
$1.
514.
Oh, bastard.
I don't know.
Okay.
This is right on me. Sean says 629. Cousin Clay, what do you got? Marshall, if you're still there, what do you got?
42.
42, the answer to the everything, right?
Everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
you
they're
guys
not
are-
responding. What is it?
Yeah, you guys are taking too long. Go ahead.
1,300.
Holy shit. Holy
Yep.
shit.
I made almost 700 just today.
Is that
and
is that
I've already-
is that as hard as it seems?
I started baking this morning at like 10:30 in the morning. Not right. I have a system and basically I can only do one little batch at a time. And
Okay.
each batch, like one batch technically is 1 stick of butter. So that's why I'm saying this, because I used 2 pounds of butter today, but I double up my batter, but each one makes 2 logs. So 2 sticks of butter makes 4 logs. So what happens is that if I try to put one, like my baking pans don't go in this way. They can't because they're too long. So I have to put them in horizontally. So I can only do one at a time because of the baking, it just doesn't bake right if you put it one too high than the other. So I have to literally do 1 sheet at a time. And I've been baking since literally I started at 10:30 mixing. I finished at 8:47 tonight.
Wow.
I started
Okay.
at 10:30 and I finished at 8:47. I
A lot
did
of logs.
so many.
Okay.
It's a lot. So yeah.
So John, we did have a request
Yeah.
on the line. So we're going to do another Polyjamoury. This is one I don't think I did, but this song has been on my playlist pretty consistently since I found it.
Greg, pretend like we're on the radio right now and do the request like that.
Yeah, we got a request that came in tonight, and this is from a young man by the name of Cousin Clay. He was looking for a little chapel rowing in Pink Pony Club, but we're gonna put a little twist on it. This is from a young man by the name of Jonathan Young, and this is his version of Pink Pony Club.
I know you wanted me to stay, but I can't ignore the crazy visions of me in LA. And I heard that there's a special place where boys and girls can all be queens every single day. I'm having wicked dreams.
Oh, I like this. Can't you picture this, Tina, cooking?
What have you done? You're a pink pony girl, and you dance at the club. Oh, mama. Just having fun on the stage in my heels. It's where
Time out. Time out. Okay, Greg.
The most hilarious thing about that is I'm in the middle of lip syncing that. I'm not singing, but my son's like, I open my eyes, my son's around the corner going, "Your phone, Dad." That was fun.
Greg, I think every Polyjamoury moving forward, you need to lip sing it.
Oh, that's gonna be hard.
That was fantastic. That was great. That was great.
This is like, because I've got about an hour commute now when I do go into the office.
Yeah.
This one comes on.
Got it.
This might be in my top 5 songs for 2024 when Spotify comes out with their, this is what you've listened to this year. This is probably going to be on there.
Yeah. Clay, you asked why is he the only one dancing? Great question. I think we were all shocked by his aura made us
high energy
freeze.
song, man.
Yeah, it just made us freeze.
This
so.
makes me want to play a barbarian bard, and this
Okay.
is going to be his thing.
Listen, you start playing some Usher or some, Chicago type of house music, you got me.
Okay.
I will dance. I will.
Tina's hardcore.
But,
There we go. All right. Greg, take us out, sir.
Well, it's almost time to gather with your relatives and talk about awkward things. And while you're doing that, just remember, don't be a douche.
For Badass Tina, the Greg, this is Johnny saying the Bears are going to do it one day. We'll see one day. Podcast
not
out, everyone.
today.
Take care. See ya. All right, we'll do a little head bobbing for Clay. There you go, Clay. See ya. All right, we out.